This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum and Tonya Lead.
Welcome to IA Forward. We're going to go off the rails today. Let's talk about cloning.
Like sheep cloning?
Dogs. There is an article recently in USA Today, a reputable organization, that Tom Brady has cloned his dog that recently passed away.
What kind of dog? Do we know? My dog, Romeo, that passed away after 14 years, that loved to bite at my face. The thought of cloning Romeo, I mean, that's a no-go for me. I'm going to roll the dice with another dog that's going to give me a better chance at not having my nose bitten off every time I get remotely close to it.
It is a pit bull mix.
Okay.
It was a blood sample that was collected before his Lua's death 2 years ago, but he has now been able to clone Lua, and he is apparently an investor with an organization called Colossal Biosciences, which is a Dallas-based biotech company. It claims they are developing the science that will save us, our planet, and the species that inhabited it.
I don't love it. Just morality for me. Like, I don't love it, just personal belief. But of course, Tom Brady is an investor in a company that is cloning people, because that is the most Tom Brady thing in the world. Hey, I think I'll just make another one of these. I mean, that is Tom Brady. He's trying to clone himself so he can play again. That's what this investment is about. He wants to come back and play.
And right now, the Saints could use a clone of Tom Brady. If he is up for grabs, can we please send him to the Saints?
The Saints could use the Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite right now. They could use anything.
Right now, I am not sure that one of the Saints wouldn't play quarterback as well as Spencer Rattler.
I'm with you. I haven't watched them. I've seen the folks, though, dog on them pretty good, and it's been a rough year so far. I do actually love the Saints, and I know as a Louisiana girl, I'm sure there's a part of you that loves the Saints. It's kind of like my Cowboys relationship. Like, I always will love the Cowboys, even though I'm not going to talk about it for a while.
I try not to talk about it, but my husband, being from North Carolina, had never heard the term the Aints. And when I made a comment recently that it looked like the Aints were back, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I just forget that those of us that grew up in Louisiana in the 80s and lived through the paper bag over your head seasons, we're not there yet, and let's hope we don't get there.
Yep, that's right. I'm not a Saints fan, but I remember the paper bag. The only team we could get in East Texas was the Cowboys, and the Cowboys happened to be really, really good in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I didn't know that there were such things. I just saw the Saints fans with the paper bags, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what that's about, but it did brand into my memory because I remember it as a childhood thing.
Speaking of the Cowboys, and yes, we're going to get to insurance, but have you watched the Netflix documentary, The Gambler and His Cowboys, America's Team?
I have not.
It was actually really interesting. We watched it. It was one of those things that popped up, and I actually really enjoyed it. Just great business information and looking at the team and the investment from a business perspective. It was really fascinating.
The Jerry Jones investment in the Cowboys is one of the all-time greatest investments in a sports franchise. The value of the Cowboys is incredible, and what he paid for the Cowboys in the 80s is just incredible. I don't doubt that a documentary would be fantastic. I think Netflix is the new crack. It spins up another documentary, and it's like, my gosh, I've only been watching this documentary for 2 hours. How did y'all create another documentary so quickly? It's an endless string of documentaries. Like, the documentary filmmaking business must be in a boom because of Netflix. I don't know if it's just me not paying attention, but there is a documentary that seems to spin up every week on something interesting.
Our TV went from that one to the one on Charlie Sheen, which were complete opposites of each other. Both I learned a lot from.
I don't know how accurate they are. I assume they're fairly researched and fairly accurate. If you're going to produce a documentary and it's not accurate, you're going to get blacklisted, canceled, called out. I think that's the whole point of a documentary, to tell the truth, something that the movie's not going to do and something that the news media is going to get wrong. The documentary is kind of the source of truth, and maybe that's our draw to it. We ended up on one the other night. Colorado murders, husband murdered wife. Julie and I were like, how did we miss this? I mean, it was like 5 years ago. Somehow we did. And the documentary shed light on it.
Before we go too far off the rails, let's go back to Tom Brady's dog being cloned, which, by the way, the new dog's name is Junie, in case that comes up in any kind of trivia event that you need that information for. How do we clone ourselves within our agency?
That's a great question. It's a question that independent agencies should ask themselves often. There's no one right answer, in my view. One of those answers is, of course, you don't. One of those answers is you surround yourself with people that are not like you. You don't clone yourself. That's where I would naturally go with the mindset of the agency owner who's like, look, I'm the rainmaker. I understand my worth. I'm confident in my ability to bring in revenue perpetually. I just don't like doing all this other stuff. And I don't want to do customer service and on and on. I think that's option zero. The first step is like to check yourself and go, do I really want to clone myself? Do I really want to have another me? I know we'll get to the other answers in a minute, but I truly believe that always has to be the first question.
I always thought that if I could just clone myself, life would be so much easier. But it is better to have somebody on my team that is the antithesis of me. I'm so much better if I have somebody say, hey, Tonya, you know, it's Tuesday. This is what's going on, rather than somebody that's out blowing and going and networking and doing all of the things. If you have an entire agency of salespeople, of producers, and nobody's doing the back end work, your agency is going to fail. And the E&O exposure is nuts.
It is. And do I want another person who overcommits their calendar? I'm in the moment right now, thinking in real time, as you have posed this question to me, as we always do. But as I process this, it's like, wait a minute, all of my weaknesses, which there are plenty, that needs to be something that I don't necessarily want 2 or 3 more of. That would be like a train wreck. We would be bumping into each other. We would be letting customers down. Some of you that's followed along in the saga of the Integra Partner Network over the last several months know that I convinced Tonya to transition from her branding marketing role into a sales business development role, running our Southeast region, creating our Southeast region. There's nothing to run yet because we actually have to build it, then run it. It's like this vision that I have. It's where we're going. It's what we're doing. And it was 100% the right direction. When I was telling her this, I was like, look, I'm not going to find someone that replaces you one for one. I'm going to moneyball you. That's been the running joke. It's supposed to be a compliment. I think she thinks it's a compliment, which is the intent. I can't replace you one for one, but I can find 2, 3, 4 people in different ways that can replace parts of you. That's the Moneyball reference. One of those pieces has been a lady by the name of LaTonya Robertson in our organization. We have Tonya and now we have LaTonya. LaTonya is working into this marketing assistant role, which some of that is to help me not fail, not overload, not overcommit, not forget about things that we need to be working on. And so as I think about just this idea of cloning ourselves, wow, I could have created another Tonya or tried to find another Tonya. I surrounded myself with pieces of Tonya which as a whole gets us moving forward and continues the foundation that she's laid. And so I love that. And I think we're kind of a real-time evaluation. We still got plenty of work to do. We're not perfect. We're succeeding and failing at times. And it's like, we're going to get there. We'll eventually get there.
When you need help, when you need that quote unquote clone of you, start by identifying the things that only you know how to do. One of the biggest challenges for us as business owners or team leaders are there are a lot of things that are in our heads that there are not processes for. What decisions do you make instinctively that others may hesitate to make, wouldn't know how to make? Empowering somebody on those decisions is a great place to start.
I'm not a genetic scientist working on this cloning stuff. You mentioned they drew blood from the dog that passed away and cloned the new dog. The foundation of cloning, I assume, is the recreation of the DNA. Someone's DNA, something that makes them uniquely who they are. And that just blows my mind to think about. It's got to be the DNA, but it makes sense when you think about it from a business owner standpoint. Part of that foundational DNA is like, what do I do? What do I know versus what I do? What do I know that I have not documented? I'm still struggling with this. We have 42, 43 employees now, 132 partner agents across multiple states. There's a lot of people involved in our organization. There's still things that I haven't written down that I forget that I have in my head that causes members of my leadership team a lot of pain. And if you really want to know what's painful, I'll see if Tonya wants to testify here on the fly. If you really want to know what's painful, join an organization where there's a leader that created something and it's in his head or her head, and then they have 3 or 4 people that have been around for 20 plus years, and it's in their head, and they know what's in the leader's head, and they know what's in their head, and then try to plug in another 3 or 4 leaders who are coming in midstream and go, okay, guys, let's grow. We make it hard as leaders because we don't write stuff down. I am guilty, terribly guilty at this. I live with one of those individuals who's been here for 20 plus years, and she gets on me, not in a bad way, but in a like, you really need to write that down. You really need to document that. Like, you really need to do this. And we've got to get better at leaders if we want to clone ourselves. If the need in our business is to clone ourselves, we've got to get out of our head and get it down onto something. If you're a paper guy, gal, write it down on paper, put it in a computer. Voice memos are hard. I'm going to say that. I've tried voice. Well, voice is hard to, I guess there's probably AI tools now where we can convert that voice into transcripts.
It's called Microsoft Word.
Okay, there you go. If you're a talker like me, then do voice memos. Figure out a way to get it down. I'm getting inspired talking about this. I'm like, I got to start talking to myself. I got to start documenting more stuff. At some point, you got to assimilate all this stuff together. And it's really crazy when you surround yourself with people who you're trying to clone yourself after, or you're trying to make them be a clone of you. They got to understand your DNA. And there's a discussion, of course, about core values here that we can get into, but that's part of where that DNA comes from.
Fun fact for our listeners, and maybe for Shane too, there are actually 2 different ways to get transcripts in Microsoft Word. You can use a voice recorder and upload that, or you can hit the little microphone and talk to it, and it will do it as you talk. So whichever works best for you.
So,
if you're at your desk, you might as well talk directly into it.
Yeah, so instead of clicking on the voice memo button on your iPhone, that's what I use. And I got all these voice memos, and I talk to myself when I'm walking, when I'm out on a walk, a hike or whatever, in my truck. That's the funny one, because when I go up to the red light, I think now people just think I'm talking on the phone. I'm not. I'm talking to myself. And that's how I get information from point A to point B. But the fact that you can throw this into Word or maybe open up the Word app and just start talking directly into it would be even better, because voice memo listening is not the same as being able to read and create something that is absorbable by your small army that you're creating. The written word still has power.
I would suggest not to freak out if the transcript is not perfect. After it transcribes, take it, hit Control A to get all, hit Control C to copy, paste it into your GPT of choice and tell it to make sense of it, and it will fix it or make you an outline, depending on what you instruct it to do. Also, if you have started developing your own GPTs, you can have a specific GPT for that purpose.
Using it makes it smarter. And you doing it creates this consumable document, source of information of some sort, whatever your document or source of information of choice is. And now we can actually move from I need to clone myself as kind of a I'm exhausted saying to we actually can clone ourselves.
If you're into AI, both my husband and I are trying this. We are actually working on creating our own GPT specifically to clone ourselves for our health, for business, even from a spiritual perspective. It's been really interesting looking at that and cloning ourselves using AI. Now, that makes us sound like total dorks, and I get it. But doing it as a couple and figuring it out together has actually been really fun.
It still is shocking to me what it's doing. The amount of data that assimilating and putting together, it's learning your habits, the things that you ask. I know Google has their own AI engine, and I know they are presenting AI summaries. Just honestly, being very simple around like just a chat GPT, the results that I get from doing a search of something in an AI tool versus just going to Google has been mind-boggling and game-changing. What it can do for you. I forget what I did the other day actually, but Julie and I were talking about it, and I was like, I'm just going to throw this into chat GPT and see what the result is. And boom, I got an entire outlined document. Incredible. It was something my siblings and I have gotten into the cattle business, kind of resurrected the cattle business that my dad and, they were a part of a long, long time ago. And so I'm the financial guy, and I'm trying to figure out some of this stuff and whether we should buy options and lock in our price and calves. And you're like, I'll throw that into chat GPT. That's my AI tool of choice. It knows stocking rate. What is your stocking rate? The number of cows you can have per acre. It knows that. Well, the reason it knows it's taking that information from all these sources available on the web, summarizing, consolidating, and giving you this information in a consumable format that is so much easier than sifting through all of these links. It's just bringing that data to life for you. I hope we don't go too far off the rails with AI. I hope we don't end up like the Terminator movie. I really like what I'm seeing. I'm really liking the fun I'm having with it, like Tonya is saying. It is kind of fun to play with it and just push the limits and see what it can do.
We started off with cloning. We went to Netflix. We ended up with AI. Welcome to the world of the Integra Partner Network.
We are some rabbit chasing fools around here, but we do have what I would call organized chaos. Our brains pretty much work this way, if you need to know. We've kind of lived openly within this podcast, things that are going on in our organization. I think it's a good thing to publicly talk about this to our current agents and our prospective agent partners. We're dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. And the idea of cloning ourselves, as people have joked about for years, but there is this reality that you have a choice. Should you clone yourself? Should you surround yourself with people that can kind of combat your weaknesses. You got to be honest with yourself before you can do that. If you really wanted to clone yourself because you think 2, 3, or 4 of you would be better than one of you, there's some tools out there to help you do that. And there's some opportunities to make not only your future employees understand what you want to happen, think core values, how do you want them to respond to situations the same way you would have responded? What about your customers? What kind of customers do you want? And when you find that perfect customer, is there a way to clone that customer?
That sounds like our next podcast episode. So we'll do a part 2 on cloning next week. I'm going to leave us today with this quote from John Wooden. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts.
Attitude's a choice. Make a great one.
Bye, y'all.
At the Integra Partner Network, we understand that carrier access is the key to your agency's success. That's why Integra offers direct access to top-rated personal and commercial carriers, ensuring your agency thrives in today's challenging market. And with our comprehensive resources, profit sharing and bonus opportunities, technology and peer support, all while you retain 100% of your book with no penalties to exit, Integra is ready to empower you and your agency to find sustained growth. Find your way to Integra. Visit IntegraPartnerNetwork.com today. That's IntegraPartnerNetwork.com.